folks, and welcome to the stream. My name is Mikey Angelo, aka That Tellest Guy. Today we are going to be doing a map set that is going to be something that we're going to be using for our Valentine's presentation. I can see as I'm looking at this map that there was a little bit of indiscretion that I'm going to clean up real quick, if the darn thing will let me. There's a lot going on this map right now, and it's very angry with me. So we'll see if it plays nice. Come on. I believe in you. You can do it. Anyway, so earlier last week we had done a map that was a sequel to our harbor, our docks. We did Hidden Harbor Tavern, and right next door to the tavern we had a warehouse that had a lot of stuff going on. And at the time I had said that it was the busiest map that I ever made. We're going to break that record a week later, and I'll show you why in a few seconds. But pretty much what we wanted to do with the map today was, I've never done a maze. Matt did a maze pretty early on, and I wanted to do something that was, pretty interesting. I always wanted to do like a hedge maze, and I thought with Valentine's, like, there was a cool kind of trick of color that we could do so that we could make the hedges kind of look, like pink or purple or something like that. So you can see I've got a couple of test pieces down here to really get an idea of whether or not those color schemes worked. I feel like they did. We are going to make a adjustment in the way that we're presenting things, as a variant, something along those lines, because we will be converting this after Valentine's to something that works a little bit more round the clock as far as the year goes, and we'll change the pink and kind of violet color to a green. But it's nice to have both of those available. You'll also notice I'm not using hedges because right now Inkarnate doesn't have hedges in the fantasy Battlemap style. They have it in the regional style, I believe, but it doesn't really look great with the rest of the things that we have, because typically speaking we don't have like an isometric look, and that one is isometric. So what I'm using instead are vines. They work really well as hedges, and again, I just changed the color pattern for what we have here in order to, make it appear kind of flowery and pink and more, Valentine's themed. Now, what we're going to do is kind of show you the plan. So let's take this and bump up the opacity. So this is a map that I had generated. You can find all kinds of generators online. Just, Google maze generator. There's a lot of different variations that you can do from the grid style. You can do, hex grids. You can do circle grids. You can do square grids. Because typically when I'm playing D&D, I'm using squares. I use squares. There's also, one of the things that I wanted to do was I wanted to make sure that wherever we were in the map, we were going to have like a center square to go through, because I wanted this to be something that the party had to experience whatever we put there. And it might be a few different things based on, what I want to do with this map. We might have, like a couple of different scenarios that we could kind of run through. And then specifically what I wanted to do was add a couple of other rooms where, typically like a maze will end in a dead end and there's just nothing going on there. I wanted to make some spots in the maze where it opens up. You might have an encounter. You might be able to find treasure. There might be something else going on there. So that's what you see with like these little color patterns here. And you can see it's a pretty big map. There really is only, one way to get there. There's little side steps that you can come and go from, but we tried to make it so that really was only one way to make it through the maze. I've tested it. One of the things that I was doing was, while I was going through, I was going to all the places that seemed like they might not connect anymore, because once I closed off these rooms, opened up the rooms I should say, I needed to close off some other spaces because these rooms weren't here originally. I had to kind of manipulate them into being. And I wanted to make sure, like, this spot here, if you start from this spot, can you make it back to this middle room? And if you can make it back to the middle room, you can make it anywhere in the maze. So I had all kinds of letter patterns that were going through and everything, and checking to make sure that that was doing what it was supposed to do. And I think I'll have to do one more, row of testing afterwards to make sure that there's nothing missing. But I think I'm fairly confident that we are going to be able to say that it does what it's supposed to do. So I'm going to show you real quick what it looks like to make some of these kind of hedge patterns. And what we'll end up doing is, excuse me, when we're done with this hedge maze, with the template underneath, we can just get rid of it. So we'll take a look real quick and see what we have here. I got away, like I turned the grid off because it wasn't really serving me too well to have the two boxes, especially over here. There was a little bit of, you can see the last square kind of gets cut off. I just wanted to make sure that it was, not becoming problematic to me or anything. You can kind of lay these things over in a couple of different ways. I felt comfortable just kind of doing it, this way. Now I don't want to go too crazy with this stuff real quick. So what I'm going to do is delete all these things that I was just working on. And you'll see why in a second. So again, I mentioned earlier that the map that I was working on was a new record setter for me as far as stamps used. And the reason for that is, if you see right here, we have 2,588 vine pieces for our hedge maze. I've already done it. I spent a lot of time over the weekend and after work these past couple of days to make the map in its entirety. So our map is technically done as far as the maze itself. We didn't really put a lot into the rooms or anything like that, and we do know that there's going to still have to be a lot of work put in. But this is what our map looks like currently. You can see there are a lot of those spaces available in the rooms. It kind of has a weird, uncanny look to it right now, and I think that the reason for that is there's these vines that kind of, when you're working on them, let me unlock that real quick, or I can go into it. So I'm going to copy this over here real quick. Now, when you're looking at that, I've been working with this for so long at this point that they look like fish to me. And these fishy ones, for whatever reason, are way brighter than the rest of them. Now, I don't really have to do anything else as it pertains to, the vines themselves. Like the shape of the maze should be pretty much done at this point. We might have to like lay something over, something in the room if we're tucking it into the vines or something. For instance, we have the only place that I really put anything in the maze so far is this little spot here. And we're actually in this group, so I'll clean this up later. But the vines are going over top of this, so you might have to do some kind of tweaking there. But what I wanted to do was show you this real quick. Again, I think it's because of these weird little fishy things that everything kind of looks, it almost has like an intestines look, and I really don't want it to look like intestines from far away. So what we're going to do is hit the little hamburger, and then we're going to do select all stamps like this. It's just going to select the stamps that look like the fish, not all the stamps from the vine set. And what we're going to be able to do is, if we come over to the brightness settings and we manipulate that down to, let's try 85. So real quick, I want to make sure. Yeah. Yep. So it's just doing the fishies. My num lock was off. Still a little off, but now that we're a little bit further away, we should be able to tweak this a little bit more. Okay, And there's one other one that kind of stands out. There's this one right here that kind of has that look to it as well. So let's try and mess with the brightness of that one. There actually might be one more in addition to those. Oh, I don't want to just do that one. We want to do all the ones in that set. So we're going to do select all stamps like this. This one doesn't need to be quite the same way. And we still got a couple of weird ones that are sticking out. And again, I do think the adjusting the colors makes it look a little bit less prominent to see those things. It almost looks like a motherboard. So what we'll do here at this point is we've at least kind of manipulated it so that those bright pieces don't pop out and make things look uncomfortable. And I think right now Rihanna is the only one who's paying attention while she's playing Pow World. I was going to ask if Rihanna wanted to try and navigate her way through the maze, but I think that going through chat would just be too impossible. I think I can try. I mean, I've seen the path and everything like that. Let's see. I'm going through it as we speak. I think I've already got lost. Let's see. Yeah, I can do it. So the path does exist. It is there. What we're going to have to do, there's a couple of things. Let me lock that down so it doesn't get in the way. And we've got the rose wall perimeter. What'd you say? I am paying attention. Want me to come upstairs? Ms. Reese says. Do you want to try and see if you can make your way through the maze? Yeah. All right. Rihanna is going to come upstairs and she's going to give it the old college try. Let's see if we can get like a little character for her. Ooh. Well, and I didn't actually show it either. I was just verifying for myself. Let's do... Hello there.
Hello.
We'll get a sled dog.
Okay.
All right. So, do you want to try and like walk him through?
Sure.
So you're probably gonna have to click and drag because the darn thing is so slow. But this damn dog is too big.
Yeah.
Here, let's do something a little simpler.
Yeah, it didn't look so much like a dog.
It's a top-down kind of thing. We'll do a wizard orb.
Ooh.
All right.
Wizorb.
Wizorb. That's actually a game, and it's a fun game.
Is it?
Mm. Is it?
All right.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm gonna let this save real quick, and then you can take the orb through.
Alrighty.
But you can sneak a peek at the map right now and see. And one of the things that we're gonna have to do is everything is very verdant and green and everything like that. We're gonna have to, put some walking paths, scrunch up the ground a little bit, make it look like it's been manipulated a little bit.
Alright, so I just click and drag?
Yep.
Alrighty, so
Left
not up. Oh, that's, I can only do left and right. Alright. Can they see the path that I'm making?
Yeah.
Alright.
And let me know if you need me to move the map.
Alright. Where am I trying to get to?
So you
I can
move
move
the map. So your first stop that you want to get to is here. And then eventually what you're trying to do is way up here.
Alright. What did I sign up for? Alright, so this is... I'm trying to get in there.
Mm-hmm.
Boop. This is working, right?
Mm-hmm. You definitely have
Yay.
an eye for mazes. Okay, and then let's take it to the next level. Put your orb right there in the center, and there we go.
The path I thought I would take is blocked. So let's see. No, wait, what's happening?
You were rotating the orb.
I didn't want to do that. Alright, so we're gonna go this way. This way? Maybe.
Perhaps. Looks like Matt is printing his 3D stuff.
Maybe.
Perhaps.
Wait. Yeah.
You got it.
Alright.
You got that way quicker than I thought you would, too.
You gotta look at the whole picture. That's the trick. I did it.
Proud of you. So, just goes to show you the maze is crackable, and you can get to any other place in the maze as well. So, any of these rooms are accessible. Any of the dead ends that don't end in rooms, they're accessible as well. But give me a high five.
I'm doing a happy dance. Oh,
You're
yeah.
very happy with how it ended up. So, what we're you're dismissed.
Oh,
No, just kidding. Give me a hug.
Oh, man.
Thank you. Good job. Proud of you.
I wasn't dumb enough for it. He don't like it when I was a smart.
No, not at all.
Love you. Good job on your maze.
Love you. Thank you. So what we're going to be doing is, again, we have to change the way that the map looks in a lot of places, because it shouldn't just be uniform, whatever this grass thing is. So what we're going to be doing is changing some things there. We have this rose wall perimeter that I kind of wanted to use to frame the maze to make it look like there was, some rhyme and reason to it. It was a well manicured maze. It wasn't something that just happened on its own. And one of the problems that you'll note with that is if I go here into the perimeter and then I turn left and turn right, I can just go all the way through to the end of the maze and manipulate it that way. So I'm going to try a couple of different things to see what I like. I think that when I'm picturing this maze and I'm picturing Cupid, I'm picturing, some kind of fey creature, not a little cherub. I'm thinking of something kind of similar to what we did with Icarus and retold his story as one of the elves from the days of Tellest Old. We're going to make some adjustments there as well. And as I mentioned before, we're going to have kind of different scenarios going on in the center of the map and with the rooms itself. At some point, I think what we might do is make it so that there's kind of like a locking mechanism on the ways out here, because the only way that you can come into this area is through here, but having these locked might mean that you have to go into some of these rooms down here or something along those lines to unlock something. Maybe you can get like a crystal that needs to be put into like a dais or something like that. And then the other thing that we have to do is we've got this little entry point here, and we're going to try and kind of flesh that out, make that look a little nicer as well. And we'll have, I kind of have a different variation of this. We have a well that we're going to have be kind of like a healing fountain in the middle of the labyrinth, because we do want there to be, some violence in this D&D campaign. So we'll have something like that somewhere, and we want our players to be able to heal themselves somewhere along the line. So let's move the well into position. So we'll have it in kind of like the back end. We'll throw it up here or something. And what we should be able to do at this point is grab our kind of watery looking stuff. Let's dial that down. Excuse me. the size should be about accurate. And problem, I think, is what we want to do is we want to put some stone down first. And we'll change the opacity. Let's change the size so that we have a little bit more room to manipulate it. The one bad thing about doing the you know what? There is one thing that I want to do real quick. So right now you can see the way that we have everything is our greenery and everything is on the background level. And one of the ideas that I had was to have some chasms on the sides of the maze. And that would mean that the players aren't going to easily be able to just navigate their way through here. There's going to be some danger involved. It would be, you know, kind of on like, not a floating island, I want to say, but maybe on like some really high cliffs and stuff like that. And we've got some history at this point with doing cliff sides with some, you know, deep distance and stuff like that. So let's do something about that real quick. What we're going to do, if you'll see, if we add that stuff in, we lose the greenery, but we're just going to put it right back. So we're going to put everything on the foreground. Now all of our stamps and everything like that, they're okay, they're safe. So we don't have to worry too much about that, but we do have to get the brush again, and we have to get the fey grass and throw that right back in. But I'm working on the background and I need to be working on the foreground. And again, the reason that we're doing that is because when we do put those chasms in, if that's what we end up doing, those chasms are going to need to be on the background layer. That's how we're going to see the stuff in the distance and everything like that. But now what we can do is, again, grab our brush tool, dial this back, grab our stones, maybe go to about 40%, and then we're going to do a couple of passes of that with the stone. So we have a little bit of that green back there. I don't want a tremendous amount of it. And now when we put the water in with the same 40%, looks a little better. I think what we may have to do, I don't think it's going to work the way that I intended it to, so we might have to figure out a different solution, because I'm not going to be able to flatten this to the background. It'll just end up getting dropped in the back there. Let's see. Oof, it's rough. What do I all got there? So that is the whirlpool and the top bits of all that. So let's try and let's move that there for a second. Okay, and let's get rid of that piece. And now I've got those. So if I drop them down to the background, I lose them, and that's the problem. And the foreground layer is not going to let me play with the overlay the way that I want it to. Let me think. I mean, it honestly might be okay. Let's see. That is the one. Well, you know what? There is a way around this. So if we subtract this down, we don't really need to see any of that stuff. The trick of it is that we're going to have to go back to painting that stuff on again. but we have to do it to the background layer now. And let's see, we'll real quick grab those two guys, and that is the smaller ones. So those are the ones that are a little lower. Now I should be able to flatten them to the background. And now when I go to do the water, you can see that it's kind of working its way up the well. So you got a little bit of a deeper spot down there. Let us do a little bit of something else real quick. We're going to grab the other guys here and shrink that down, contract it just a little bit. Looks a little nicer than it did before. Let's do, we've got the shadows around here. Let's actually do something along those lines to the outside of this area. So we're going to again go to our foreground, and we're going to change the color pattern here to maybe like 85. And if we paint that into place around here, it'll look like people have been walking around this spot on the well, and it'll look a little nicer. So that's a nice little object in the maze at some point. Let's go here, and what we'll do here is we'll again get the stone pieces, and we're going to kind of make it look like cobblestones leading into the maze. And we're going to do a couple of passes of these around. What this is going to be is a nice fountain. So we're going to kind of do a lot of work on this as we play with the stuff a little bit more. It's going to look real fancy. We'll have some statues and stuff like that in play. More up here. Kind of looks like it's moving into position. I do want those cobblestones all the way around here. So on the inside of these, I don't really want a lot of that greenery. On the outside, perfectly fine. All right, and for now, let's do... This is going to be a very shallow fountain, so I don't have to go too crazy with the way that this is. Let's just do... Oh, you know what? There is, I think, like a concrete that they have in either the Fae or the... Let's do something like this. Let's try the lapis lazuli. Well, we do need it to be dropped down to that 20%. Well, 20 is the level that it's at. Let's see where our offsets look. So I'm putting my finger on the screen right now. I would like this to be right in the center. So this will look real nice. I think the fountain itself probably not going to be too crazy as far as like elements inside. We might do a couple of pieces that look like they would be spewing the water. And then maybe what we'll do is statues on either side of the path. Okay, let's do another pass. And I'm not going to go too crazy and do a third one. I think 2 is a good amount. I think this looks pretty nice. And then what we'll do is off stream, I'll be a little bit more painstaking about the way that I am doing the borders of these again to make it look a little nicer. But I think that looks really nice. And we're going to go back to our water again, and we're going to do a couple of passes of this. Because I do want to see that pattern, but I don't want it to be... I don't want it to look like there's nothing over top. So what we might do is like lily pads and stuff like that. It might be a pool instead of a fountain. But we'll play around with it a little bit and see what we like. And we'll certainly be finishing this stream tomorrow. Yep, that was the right decision, I think. I think this looks very nice, having it like this with the pattern underneath with the water over top. I think that was the right call. And again, I am going to have to clean things up around the perimeter of this pool, but you know, one of the things that I noticed that we didn't do was we didn't turn the grid back on. So let's see what we're working with. So you can see the grid pretty much matches up. Oh, you know what though? I do notice that there are going to be some spots where we are going to have to clean things up. I don't want to spend all of my time right now doing that, but maybe off stream I'll spend a little bit more time doing those kinds of things. Let's go and get some statues. So there is no Fae stuff, but there is Elven stuff. Let's grab our Elven statues. We're going to have these guys facing the pools. And I want them to kind of be right in the center of these two. So we've got the walkway here, 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 here. What we're actually going to do is put him right smack in the middle there. And that way we're not wasting too much space over here. So we're going to put some trees and stuff like that over here as well. Let us be a little bit more particular about the way that we're building this out, though. We're going to go and grab our little square tool and apply that like so. Go back to our regular brush. Kind of fill that out so that it squares up over here a bit more. Okay, that looks good. And what we're going to do is say that we've got this path terminating down off the south of the map. That's where the adventurers are coming from. Let's do a little bit more. Something along those lines. And then we'll kind of clean that area up. It's been 92 changes, so let's do a save. I feel like I've been doing map stuff for the last 2 hours. I've only been on stream for about a half an hour, but I think I am starting to feel a little bit winded, so we might drop off and clean things up a little bit later. But I think getting some good ideas here was was nice. We got some ideas in place. We did some work showing off how we got here. We've conceptualized what we want to do in a few places, and then tomorrow we can really have some fun with it. I don't think that we're going to have everything done by the time we are celebrating Valentine's Day in earnest, but I think getting close is a good start. All right, I am going to save one more time, even though it was just one item, and let's close the show off. So, folks, on the screen right now, you should see all the places that you can find Tellest content on the internet. The Tellest website is a great place to start. That's Tellest.com. That usually is the place that you can go to be brought to all the other places. We have our links on here, on there as well. And anytime we have like a new project that we're showing off, that's where you'll be able to find that as well. And we have a couple of places that you can find our premium content out on the internet as well. For our digital content, you want to go to patreon.com/Tellest. That is where you're going to be able to find maps like these in their entirety when they are completed and their variants are done and things along those lines. We usually have those on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I don't know that we did anything today. It might have been the Hidden Harbor map. It might not have been. But in any case, the maps, and we're also doing point of interest documents for old maps that we've done. They show up on either Tuesdays or Thursdays as we have them available. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we have art posts. The art on the Tellest website is currently soft scheduled out through like the middle of 2027. We have content every week that shows up on the Tellest website, but if you're a patron for Tellest, you'll get that stuff way earlier than anybody else. You'll be able to see the stuff that we're working on with our many artist collaborators. So that's a good place to get that premium content. And you'll also get things like short stories earlier than anybody else and bonus scenes from the stories that we write. So we do offer a lot of content. It's not just battle maps or anything like that, but we changed things recently to reflect the work that we're doing with the battle maps. So I am excited about that. And if you've got a tabletop campaign, it's a really good resource for you. The other place that you can find our premium content is Tellest.etsy.com, and that's where you can find our physical premium content. So again, circling back and integrating the battle maps into what we're talking about here, we do these giant like 20 by 40 inch mouse pads where we take these maps that we're working on and we put them on those nice polyester. They almost look like neoprene maps. These big jumbo game pads that they work really well on tabletop. And if you get a couple of our maps that tie into one another, they lay on top of each other really well. So definitely give that a look. We also have posters, stickers, bookmarks, the Tellest art book, the Quantum Quest game, and Rihanna's one-of-a-kind handcrafted magic wands. And we'll tie that into the next piece, which is her TikTok channel, tiktok.com/@weirdwitchwands. She's been working on a new batch, and they all look amazing. Those videos, I think, are coming up later this week, and you should definitely give them a look. And when you're done looking at them on the TikTok channel, definitely go over to the Etsy store and see if there's any that speak to you. And then we have another TikTok channel, tiktok.com/@talesoftellest, which is for our trio of pups. It really is typically the Luna show because every day she's being a nut, but the other dogs definitely have their cute and quirky moments as well. And then the last two places that I'll bring your attention to. If you're watching this now, and when I say now, I mean you're not watching it now because the only people watching it are me and Rihanna. Chances are if you're looking at this, you're looking at it on YouTube. So youtube.com/@worldoftellest is where you're typically watching this. But if you do want to see it live and you want to chat with us, things like that, twitch.tv/thattellestguy is a great place to look. We only do it live there, and then we're hoping to get up to 50 followers. So I think we're at 37 now. Once we get to 50, we get to ask to be affiliates, and we get to do a lot of cool things. We've got some pretty interesting plans for the Quantum Quest games that we play live and everything like that, but that's for another time. Anyway, that will be it for me for today. I'll plan on being back tomorrow, and we'll see how much work we can get wrapped up on this this Valentine's themed battle map. So I will talk to you later, and thank you for joining us either now or in the future if you're watching on YouTube. And I miss you.